What's going on, YouTube? This is your man Tech Savvy. Hey, this afternoon, which is Tuesday, or roughly about 5 o'clock or so, I had a user ask me about the infotainment system for his the USB connections. He always been having issues trying to use his phone in the infotainment system, Apple CarPlay, USB storage device, trying to transfer music to the info system so he can play his music. I'm gonna try my best to explain exactly what I think is going on, what I know what's going on for him, but I'm gonna share this information to try to help others who might be having similar issues. Alright, one, I'm gonna go over the ports inside the Slingshot so you can understand exactly what they're used for and how you should use them. Alright, first thing first, all the infotainment systems has one USB port, and I'm gonna use my little back scratcher here and try to show it to you. The infotainment USB port is here. Okay, this is a input port. Alright, now first I want to say there's two types of USB ports. One is for power and one is for data. Alright, on your ports send power and they receive data. Now for your USB cables, now there are 4 different types of USB cables, and the most common right now is the USB-C /C that is used for your cell phones. Okay, but you still have the USB-A, USB-B, and now the USB-C, and you have the mini port, the mini USB port. All right, no matter which USB cable you have, they still fall under these two categories. One is for to send data, and the other one is for to send power. Alright, for your USB ports, one port is for to receive data, and the other one is for to send power. Now the USB that's under your infotainment system here, it is a USB that is there for data retrieval, meaning it's receiving data from your phone. Okay, your other USB port is in the glove box. It's here. Now going back to this one, the USB port under the infotainment system, it is activated when you initialize the vehicle, meaning you can't use it until the vehicle is on. Here in the glove box, you have a USB port. It is for power. It sends power to whatever device that you have plugged into it. It is also activated through your accessories, meaning that once the vehicle come on, that's when it's activated. So if you have a phone plugged into it, your phone will not start charging until the vehicle is on. The other port is your DC port. This is also a power port, meaning back in the day we was using them for cigarette lighters, but today it's almost standard for this as to be the DC power supply, a power port, where any device that you plug into it with a DC connection will receive power. And they're both, the DC power and the USB, are only activated when the vehicle is on. So whatever you got plugged into these ports, their power is activated when the vehicle is on. Now there's one more DC port, which is under your fin back here in the back between the seats. I'm hoping you can see it. You have a DC port and this other connection back here is for the actual, if you got the stock battery, you can use a battery tender and plug it into this battery connection right here and charge your battery. I highly recommend, if you have upgraded your battery to a dual battery setup, do not use this. Alright, it is for the stock battery that's used, that stock AGM battery that this was originally created for. Alright, now on Deathstroke I have 2 dual lithium batteries, so I would not use this port. But getting back to the subject, alright, what I want to explain to everyone is your radio USB port, your glove department USB port, all right, they are activated by the ignition, but your DC port back here in the back in between the seats is a hot plug. Now what's happening is you can charge whatever device that you have plugged into this DC port back here. Even if the vehicle is off, you can maintain or charge whatever device. Now if you need to use a USB type of converter, this is what I highly recommend to get. I'm trying to pull it out from between the seats because I dropped it. Let's see if I can grab it right quick. But this is what is called a DC USB converter. You can simply just plug it into your DC port and turn it into a USB port instead of a DC. Now keep in mind, I said this is a hot plug, so whatever device I plug into this USB, these 2 USBs, I can use these USBs as a power source to charge whatever device I got plugged into it, even when the vehicle is off. Okay, now what's going on is, and what I'm trying to explain, is most people are using Apple CarPlay, using their phone, and this is what's happening. Even though you got 2 different USB ports, one is for data, one is for power, people are using their cell phones to transfer data, but their phones need power. The new phones that they have out now, no matter what brand you got, if it's a new phone, it is capable of handling data transfer and power, sending power through that USB cable. Even though it is able to do that, I highly recommend not to connect a uncharged phone to your infotainment system trying to use Apple CarPlay, because you done changed that data port into a /power port, and it's trying to do 2 things when it's just a simple transfer of data of what it's trying to do. Now this is what I recommend for anybody that's having issues with their USB /Apple CarPlay, using a USB thumb drive for music. Use it just for data. If you need to charge your phone while you're driving in the USB port that's in the glove box. If you are not driving and you're stationary, use the DC plug with a USB changeover in the back and charge your phone. Once your phone is fully charged, or got a good charge or maintain a high charge, then use it to your infotainment system to use your Apple CarPlay, where it's only being used to transfer data from that phone up to your infotainment system. That is what's going on, and that is what I found out from another Slingshot owner that I was evaluating his setup. Now, what I highly recommend for everybody, this is how I do my music. I got a USB thumb drive for my music. Okay, now for my glove box, I have a DC three-way converter that I plug into my DC port, which has an additional 3 DC ports. And each one of those ports, except for the first one, I run my radar detector. Then I have 2 USB ports per port, because I used a DC converter in the next 2 DC holes. So now I have a total of 4 connections from my DC port that's capable of handling 4 USB connections. Now I'm gonna bring this up, and I highly want, I really want everybody to understand, the original configuration on a Slingshot was not meant to handle multiple devices connected to the internal ports of the vehicle and be able to maintain it sufficiently. I would only recommend for someone to do something like this if you have upgraded your battery. That is another issue that most people will have trying to use their cell phone and the input USB for the infotainment system, and it's doing a double take. It's trying to send power to the phone to charge it, and it's trying to receive the information or the data, which is the music, back to the infotainment system. So you're starting having a lot of issues because it wasn't meant to do that. Even though the cabling that came with your phone allows you to do it, just because it can do it don't mean it should be done. Now, your USB port that's in the glove box, since I have multiple USB ports on my DC converter inside my glove box, there's no need for me to use this USB port, power port, okay, because all my power is going here. If I'm driving, all my devices can receive power while I'm driving, because this converter or this DC power plug is charging my devices because the vehicle is on. Now once the vehicle turns off, I stop and I get out and turn it off. This device stopped charging all of my devices. And when I get ready to get out, anything I got up here is coming with me anyway, because this is an open vehicle and I don't want anyone snatching out my camera and my phones and whatever else, a radar detector or whatever else I got set up here. You know, people see stuff in the open and they just gonna automatically try to snatch it. So once I snatch it, and it's with me anyway. But the point of trying to make was, when I stop, it stopped charge. When I stop the vehicle and turn it off, the devices will stop receiving a charge. Now, if I'm nearby the vehicle and I want to constantly get a charge to my phone, or my phone has completely died on me, I would use my DC converter back here, which is a hot plug that, even though the vehicle is off, I can recharge my phone. Now, once my phone is charged, if I wanted to use Apple CarPlay, if I had an iPhone, a fully charged phone, or a phone that has a good charge on it, once I plug it up into the data USB plug, you should not have any issues. If you do, and I'm gonna say it again, if you are having issues, it's most likely because there's not enough power in your system. You need to upgrade your battery. There's no other way around it. So I hope this little information that I just giving you helps you out for you trying to use your phone, trying to use Apple CarPlay, you trying to Use your storage data, your USB for storage to listen to music on your infotainment system in your Slingshot. I hope this information helped you out, because like I said, it did help out another user, and once we figured out exactly what was going on, he's now able to listen to his music the way he wants to, without all that whatever was going on. It was out of this world. All right, that's all I have for you. I'll be making more videos here shortly. I got a lot of stuff going on, and I'll give y'all an update on my health. Other than that, that's my spiel for today. Y'all have a good one. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, YouTube, hey, this is the short version. If you're having trouble with your phone and your infotainment system, first thing you need to check is to make sure that the cable that you're using to plug in your phone to the infotainment USB is a data transfer cable. That's number one. If you're having trouble, because the next thing you need to check is the power, the charge on your phone, to make sure it is somewhat reasonably charged in order for it to be sitting in the USB data transfer cable, data transfer USB port for your infotainment system. So that's number two. One, check your cable, what type of cable you got. There's two cables, data and power. Two, check the charge on your phone. Make sure your phone is fully charged. Three, and the most expensive one, is you might need to upgrade from that stock battery to a higher watt battery. So that's the short version of the video I just made. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording.